Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to do a real quick video on just painting up some clones or some stormtroopers. This will work for stormtroopers as well. But yeah, this is just to take a little break away from 40K and painting up 40K stuff. I like to paint other things, and Star Wars Legion is the game that we play as well. So I wanted to just a real fast way of putting some color on this clone trooper phase 1 clone trooper, and just getting them ready for the tabletop. It's not going to be a real detailed paint job. It's just going to be quick because we have a lot of these that we want to put on a tabletop, and I just want to get it ready for play. It's not a Golden Demon award-winning model that I'm doing here. It's just want to get it done, you know, but give you a nice look. So first, I already primed it. As you know, they do come gray, like this Anakin Skywalker model. It does come gray. I did prime it already off camera. I primed it with this Vallejo Surface Primer, the white, and then with my airbrush. And you don't necessarily have to do it with an airbrush, but I did it with an airbrush just because it was faster. I have 4 units of them that I'm doing, including some ARC troopers. So I did it with really quick. I did it with this Althane, however you pronounce it. You guys know how I am with these names. So this gray airbrush primer, I sprayed a lot of them with my airbrush, and because I had, like I said, I had 4 units to do, so I did that already. So this has been primed, done in that light gray. Now what I'm going to use is this also Vallejo. Let me get it in a picture here. This Vallejo black gray, which kind of is, it's more like a gunmetal gray. You'll see when I put it on, it's not real dark. I'm going to also use Abaddon gray for inside of the helmet visor and the suit underneath the armor. And in this particular squad, it's Commander Cody's squad. And if you're familiar with Rebels or Star Wars, Commander Cody does have yellow markings, so I'm going to use yellow, easy for me to say. And then, like all other Star Wars, everything in Star Wars, it is not just crisp, it's battle worn, it's dirty. So I'm going to get into some of that too, and I'm going to use some non-oil, some shade for that. We'll see what's going on, but without further ado, let's go and get into this. And I'll be back with some. Actually, I'm not going to be back. I'm going to start with Abaddon black, and I'm going to paint the suit underneath the armor. Now, when you're doing this, I don't want you to worry about going over top and marking the gray over the armor, right? See, that's not very neat. It's actually rather sloppy, but it's okay. I'm also using a short liner 1800 brush, pretty thin liner brush that I can get in. All right, guys, let me show you what's going on here. So number one, I didn't clean this model very well, and you guys can clean your models better than I did with these. With the Star Wars Legion stuff, I just like to it's a fun project for me. I just want to get it done so it looks nice, but not where I'm gonna win painting competition. So you can see that there was some here. After I painted it, I actually forgot about it until I started painting it again, but I had to scrape off this line here. There's also some mold lines here in the gun. This was torn up a little bit down here. There's mold lines here, but I'm not, like I said, this video is not the I'm gonna win a Demon Award a painting award or go to a painting competition. This is, I want to get these clones finished so I can concentrate more on the characters and do those a little bit better. Now there are some, like this part here, I did not want to paint this part. I know that should be black or could be black in my particular scheme. I don't want that black. I just like this black and everything else white. And I know there's some black right here. If you watch cartoons or watch any of the movies, there's some black here and there's some black around the neck, but I choose to have that all still be white. Now, as you can see, and I kept this is all happening in real life, like I'm not editing any of this. You can see how much I went outside of on the army. And I know people are freaking out when they paint, they're like, oh man, we went black over top of this white. It's gonna be hard to do. You know what? It's not hard to do. It just needs some coats, and you got to put on thin coats, and you got to be patient with it, and you just cover up that black, and it looks great. And the effect that we're going to do on it later on to make it dirty is you're not even going to really notice that a lot. So, but before I touch the white up, what I'm going to do is actually hit the gun, and I'm going to use this black gray. Let me shake it up. I didn't shake it up when I was before I set this up. And I'm actually going to switch brushes because I don't want to use my liner brushes when I'm doing that kind of thing. So I'm going to switch brushes to, and you'll see me use this a lot as you watch my videos, 0 round. Okay, but you can use whatever brush you feel comfortable with. I just feel comfortable with this. Dip it in my water. Get some of this on. I like this color from Vallejo. And this want to go over the gun. This is a basic tabletop. Looks like I need a new brush. This brush is actually snake tonguing, so I'm gonna need a new brush on this. Again, this army is for me. I mean, if you guys want to, I'm not saying that I paint my stuff all up that looks bad, but this is my army, so I'm not overly worried about. In other words, it's not a commission that I do, because I do commission work. Actually, I also paint for Frontline Gaming, so I'm commission painting for them. This brush is a bad brush. It looks like I'm gonna need to buy a new brush tomorrow. You can see how this brush is actually starting to snake tongue. Get that little fork in it, and I really can't get a nice straight detail with it. This is an old brush. I have restored it a bunch of times, but it looks like it's gonna have to be just a wash brush now. That's what I do when my brushes become like this. I start using them as a wash brush. Because basically why this happens is because you get paint up in here, up in this part of the brush, and it starts to separate. It keeps the brush terminology is escaping me, but it keeps the brush hair, the bristles, it keeps the brush bristles separated. Makes it hard to get a really straight, precise brush stroke on it. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to the gray here, and I actually switch brushes to a 10-0 round. This is just because I had it here and it was easier. But again, you use whatever brush you feel comfortable with. So now I'm going to go over this. I switched to a smaller brush too, so I can go over my black with a thin coat. And don't try to go over it in one pass. Because then what's going to happen is you're going to just glob it on, and then it's just not going to look as smooth. You want to do this in layers. So now what we're going to do is going to put the markings on them. There is no rhyme or reason. If you watch Clone Wars, the animated cartoon on Disney Channel, there is no reason whatsoever behind any of these markings on these particular clones. These first clones, anywhere you go, they're not on them. Some of them actually have unit markings on the shoulder pads. Some of them have markings that will indicate their rank, if they're captains or if they're commanders. Some have double shoulder pads. You know, and it obviously that has something to do with the ranking, but in this particular case, you don't need to worry about it because this is just a clone trooper. This is not a commander. So what I'm going to do is just start wherever I feel like, and I'm going to mark, and I'm going to just paint them. So I'm going to actually paint. I'm going to actually paint this face mask here. And here's the part that I want you not to worry about, right? I am not going to paint them because of the way Star Wars is. If you look at it, these guys these clones do not have crisp paint jobs. So all I'm going to do is I'm not even going to take this all the way to the end. In some cases, I'm just going to, and some up to the end. In other words, I'm not trying to be perfect on this. Alright, so there we have our clone with the markings on it for Commander Cody Squad. Right now what we're going to do is we're going to beat them up a little bit. I'm going to go back to taking my gray. And what I'm going to do is grab an older brush. Want an old brush for this. And I'm gonna dip it, and then I'm gonna dip it in there, and then take some of the paint off of it. And I'm just gonna just get some marks in there. Kind of give a little dry brush in here. Take my Nuln Oil. I don't want it too heavy on this, so what we're gonna do is dip our brush in water. We're gonna dip our brush in water. And what I do is I put it here. So I empty my brush off in my cap, and you can do this however way you want, because I want this to be watered down a little bit more. Let my brush absorb a little bit of it. Start somewhere where you can dip it off, and so I'm gonna start here, and I'm literally taking this all over the model. Now, even though you're washing the whole model, I would not suggest just dunking your brush in a bunch of it and just slapping it all on with the big brush and getting more on there. I would recommend taking your time, a little at a time, so you can control where it puddles. Alright, now you can see how he looks more dirty. If you watch Star Wars, you can see none of it's crisp. There's no crispness at all in any of Star Wars' color schemes. It's all dull and dirty and beaten up and outer space looking. So this is what we have here, is we have a clone now who looks dirty. But we are not done. Gonna do his base up. You've seen me do bases before. This is nothing new. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this base off camera and come back with the base. All right, guys, I'm gonna move on to the base. Look, everybody can do bases. We've seen them being done a bunch of times. What I'm gonna do is a Geonosis type base color. and I'm going to use Strag Brown, and I'm going to hit that with some Adiract Earthshade, and then I'm going to dry brush Stag Brown on top of it again to give it a dusty look. And then so I'll just do that and speed through that real quick, and then we'll bring it back to putting the figure back on the base. I'm going to add this base of XV88. You can have add any color. I just happen to like this color here to go. It's like got a little bit of a yellowish, brownish cast to it. I'm not even going to clean my brush off. I'm just going to dunk it in a little bit and just pick up some of that light green and yellow, and just touch my base with that, just to give it a little bit of a contrast here. So what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for that to dry, before I brush that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this model a little bit of dust build up around his feet, because he's walking on a dusty planet of Geonosis. So we're going to do that by dry brushing some Strag Brown onto it. I'm just going to dry brush it on his feet a little bit and give him, just to give him a little bit don't want this to be too heavy, just to give him a little bit of red. Just to give them a little bit. It's kind of hard to see, but believe me when I tell you it's there. Here, we'll do this. Here's one that isn't done. And I know my hand is taking the shadow of it, so you can actually see it better in the off the camera, but if you wanted to, let's just say I wanted to make it a little darker, I could put more on. Make it a little darker. If you want to put it up here a little bit, if you want. I mean, that's up to you where you want, how far you want to go with it. But that's essentially it. So once we get it, once we get them to be based, we'll see when this all dries. I'll put them on there.